Next question goes to the issue of taxpayer-funded projects in Carmel. And the question is, how do you balance what's necessary versus what's not necessary? And how do you pay for these things in an era of property tax caps and economic sort of uncertainty?
First, I'll make a mention of a couple of comments that the mayor just made.
It's their time.
Obviously, right? Fact of the matter is that, yes, the state of Indiana did take over pension funds, but if anybody knows anything about history, there's been many an occasion where states have turned back pension payments to municipalities because states don't have the funds to be able to handle it. So $8.5 million is something that our city council really fought against because the mayor wanted to raid that fund. I say we should make sure that should that be a situation in the future, we should have pensions for the police and fire personnel that risk their life and limb for us. That's number one. Insofar as some of his other comments, I will move along to the question, which I probably have forgotten up to this point.
Just the issue of projects and how they pay for.
Well, a project is a visionary project by the mayor called the Palladium. A Palladium that was supposed to be built for $80 million and was sold to the city council and to the people of Carmel for that price. But at the time, the mayor really didn't want to spend $80 million. He wanted to spend $162 million. Watch the city council meetings in May of 2005, and you'll see the evidence. And that's exactly what he did, and he sold it, saying that $40 to $60 million was going to be collected to be able to pay for part of the enhancements that he had in mind, and to date he has collected virtually nothing. He also said, and I've been monitoring his newspaper clips and his quotes and a lot of his statements in city council meetings where he said many a time, I will not spend residential tax money for the Palladium. That means operating expenses as well as construction expenses. The Palladium is one of the only institutions in this country, and I've done a bit of research on this, that was groundbroken without a single dime of endowment or donor money. This is a broken promise to the people of Carmel. It might be wonderful to have a Palladium for $80 million. It might also have been wonderful for, instead of spending another $100 million or so for it, to have maybe built a convention center to draw businesses and people into the city so they'll patronize some of these amenities. And things like the Arts and Design District, which is in various degrees of failure at the present time.
Hi, sir. Actually, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Brainard's next.
Could you repeat the question?
Basically, the question is goes to taxpayer projects, how do they paid for, how do we balance the economic uncertainty and also take into account property tax caps and just overall generally limited governmental resources?
The good news about Carmel is that we're not up against the property tax cap that most cities in Indiana are, because our taxes are so low, relatively speaking, to others. I don't want to get too far into this issue, but Martin, you need to read the document that was given to the City Council back when we issued the bond for the Palladium, which has a lot of the information you've confused in it. It's in writing and available. I think Keystone's an example of a good project. We were getting 220 some accidents for the 5 years leading up to that reconstruction project. Most of those accidents are going away. The fatalities and the serious accidents, we're reducing our injury accidents in roundabouts by 80% when compared to the traffic lights with similar traffic volumes. We are encouraging investment into the Arts and Design District in our new downtown. Contrary to what was just said, we've had many new businesses in that area, starting with all the businesses, over a dozen of them in the Indiana Design Center, which is one of the city's public-private partnerships meant to attract private sector activity and capital into that area that was failing 12, 15, 20 years ago in Carmel. We want to not only have the best and safest infrastructure that we can in this city, because we have to compete for good jobs with cities, not just in the Midwest, not just in the United States, but all over the world. That requires not only good schools, libraries, but good roads, a vibrant, healthy downtown, and cultural opportunities. And by doing that, we'll keep our taxes low.
Mr. Accetturo?
The first thing I'd like to say is, I don't think anybody in this audience knows that the only office building built in metropolitan Indianapolis in 2010 was built by the Carmel Redevelopment Commission. So when you talk about development, this is what's going on with your tax money. And you know who the tenant is in that office building? Someone who was a tenant in an office building here in Carmel on Meridian Street. So here we have government competing with the private sector. We have the great public relations here in Carmel. We have great PR. We have a situation where we have a lot of space based on what we require people to build, and through the public affairs and promoting these things, the cost of the space is extremely high. So it's difficult to fill this space. We have hundreds of thousands of square feet of empty commercial space and office space here in Carmel. And as Carmel, the next mayor of Carmel is going to have to deal with this problem. And no matter what the debt is, and no matter what the development is, I've yet to see one independent study of what the benefits of the development that has occurred during the 16 years of Mayor Brainard's reign here in Carmel as mayor. If we're going to tout things, we need to do more than PR. We need to deal with the facts. Thank you.